Today's question is kind of a tough one, and although you may not have the same circumstance, you might have something similar. I'm going to read it so I get it exact. How do you move on from resenting someone? My ex-husband's actions ruined my children and my life for the past 15 years. Unfortunately, he lives in the same town as us and keeps complicating things and reminds me every day of how much I suffered because of him. And I can't help to have all these negative thoughts and feelings when I see him. I want to be able to move on and feel nothing when he says or does something hurtful. Is it possible? First, I'm so sorry that you and your children have had to deal with this for so long. I mean, 15 years that's, if it's 2 or 3 years, you still have memory of life before that, but 15 years, it's all your past memories are clouded by this, and I just feel such heavy energy even just reading it. You live in the same town. I don't know how small your town is. I can share with you some things I've done which you may or may not want to do, and mine was not, it didn't involve children, it wasn't 15 years long, but I was able to relieve a lot of things. Now, you say, is it possible to move on? And you mentioned that you have negative thoughts and feelings when you see him. If at all possible, avoid seeing him. If you have 2 grocery stores in your town and you normally go to one and you know that's the one he goes to, go to a different one. If you haven't already, which you probably have, I'm guessing, but block him on all social media and everything. Just remove him from as much of your life as you possibly can. Now, you should be able to go to any grocery store that you want to, but if you go to the same store, then you will always have that apprehension that he might be there. So yes, you do have the right, and no, it isn't fair if I'm telling you go to a different store, not the one that you want to shop at. But I've actually gone to a different store to avoid someone, and most of the stores have the same stuff, to be honest. And for me, it was just to relieve, which it did. It relieved the worry of running into someone I didn't want to see. Now, a wound can't really heal until the cause of the wound is no longer there. So is it possible to move on? Yes, 100%. Right now, this instant, I don't think so. The thorn that still keeps on digging at you is seeing him, and I don't know how he reminds you. You said that he reminds you of, what exactly did you say? Reminds you every day of how much you suffered because of him. That's a hard wound to heal, especially if it keeps getting triggered and you keep seeing him. So I would say, again, number 1, avoid running into him as much as possible. A lot of people might say, oh, we'll just move. I'm sure if you could have done that, you would have done that by now. But time doesn't heal all wounds. The fact that it's been 15 years, I'm gonna guess your children are somewhat older, so you've probably made it through the hardest part. And I think moving forward in life, adding as much joy to your life as possible, and if possible, even, I don't know how much roots, does that make sense? How much roots that you have in the town, but you might even consider moving. It would be a fresh start, that's for sure. And there would still be a lot of recovery. Just going to a new place obviously isn't going to heal everything. So now that I've told you that time and moving wouldn't do it, no, they will help. But what really is going to do it is to be able to build a life where he doesn't exist. And you can't do that, unless certain circumstances, but you can't do that when there are children involved, small children, and joint custody and co-parenting and all that. But I don't know your age, but I think sometimes we don't realize how much life we still have. And I'm 48 right now as of shooting this video. 20 years ago, mistakes that I had made, I thought, oh, that's it. That's over, it's done. But I didn't realize you have so many more lifetimes, from 0 to 20, 20 to 40, 40 to 60, 60 to 80 even. We're not guaranteed, but we're not guaranteed either. So building a life, now when I think of my life, when I was, say 20 years ago, when I was 28, it seems so far in the past and so long removed that I sort of remember it as if it's someone else's story. It's still mine, but my life has changed so much, and I've had some things happen as well that I've rebuilt from, and a lot of times you don't feel like you even have the energy, the motivation to rebuild, but you do have the wisdom, and because you have the wisdom, it requires a lot less motivation and energy to actually build. Anything that you can do to treat yourself really well, anything you can do creatively, because creatively takes you into a different space where it's all yours. And when you really enjoy something creative, and it may not be, you know, painting or drawing, it may be building something or repairing something or, you know, refinishing furniture. Whatever you find, might be cooking. Whatever you find that you kind of lose track of the outside world in, you can put your focus in, and it's just for you. And that will also help to elevate your energy, not just when you're doing the thing, whatever it may be, or the things, there may be more than one, but throughout the whole time as well. And you'll find that wandering thoughts will become more about something that you're creating rather than old thoughts from the past making their way into your mind. Your mind is really, it's the most sacred space for your peace, I believe. And when you start to build new pathways, when you start to, say if you were all of a sudden going on a whole bunch of trips, you would be thinking about all those trips because it's new and exciting. But if you're not going on trips, to create that influx of thought pathways requires changing something. You know, I remember in my media class in college a million years ago, the teacher had said there's only two stories ever told in movies. The first is a stranger comes to town, and the second is someone taking a trip. And I thought, well, that can't be all the stories. It doesn't even make sense. But the more I thought about it, that's true. And even sitcoms will be, you know, someone comes to town or someone takes a trip. We don't have that luxury in everyday life. But taking a trip may be trying something new, trying some kind of new adventure, whether it's creative or whether it's something outdoors, walking on nature trails, you know, something different, something out of your norm, and something that is going to be building a new life. A stranger comes to town. That stranger might be you. Have you actually got to know your true, joyous, highest potential self yet? No, because it's been, your attention has been so taken away or stolen, or a mix of both, by someone else and by pain. So that's kind of a lot of different thoughts. Hopefully some of them have been helpful for you. I've been in, again, a similar situation, but not nearly that deeply rooted. So I do know it's possible. I think you deserve it even more than I did in my case. And so I send you all the love and respect for making it through. I really think you've made it through the worst of it. And I hope that you're able to build a beautiful life for you and for your children that you've always deserved. Thank you.